Hello, welcome back to Sama TV, the channel for all you average Joes and Joya out there. On this channel, we talk about literally anything, but from a very average human point of view.
So today we're going to talk about a really important Netflix documentary show called Seaspiracy. If you haven't watched the documentary yet, it basically focuses on the environmental impact of the fishing industry on our ocean life. A lot of shocking revelations found in the documentary basically, so it's definitely a must watch. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Without wasting our time, let's cut to the chase. So, Sue, now that both of us have watched this documentary yet, I just want to check with you. Do you really think actually this documentary sebenarnya just kind of want to promote veganism? Like basically they just tell everyone stop eating fish? Because I think they kind of mention it quite a lot throughout the documentary. Do you think that's kind of what their main goal for it?
I mean, honestly though, there were some parts where I'm like, really, that's the bottom line of this? You know, there were some parts where they were just like, okay, but do you understand, fishing is, the fishing industry is the problem, how we fish too much than what we should be consuming is the issue. And then at one point it was just okay, spoiler alert lah, but at one point it was just what we should totally stop consuming fish or something like that. And I was just like, what? That ain't possible, no? There's so many people in this world that actually rely on that, and not just because that's their staple food ke apa. It's macam how geographically that's the best that's the only source of food for some people lah. So that's why I'm tak mungkin though, you know.
People have the privilege to think apa diorang makan, is it ethical, is it or not. Some people, they just whatever they can eat, they just gonna eat it, you know. Yeah, it's not fair to ask them to oh, don't eat that because you're supporting. But if fish is the only thing yang dorang boleh afford, what to do? Yeah.
I mean, I understand yang macam, oh yeah, when you fish too much the more than what you can consume lah kan, macam as shown on the documentary, they really did capture way too much than what I guess people on average consume. Kan, yang macam, I don't think people makan pun that much that type of fish.
And then we're
kan.
talking about not the small shark, shark besar bukan salah tangkap.
Yang tak baik tu lah. I think one of the parts in the documentary yang they mention because how they capture the animal, I mean the fish kan, macam how they fish them out, they use such a huge net yang nak tertangkap animals yang people tak consume pun.
Yeah,
so
and
I
even
think that's the issue lah.
Coral reef pun somehow rosak along the way.
Yeah,
just
betul.
Because,
and that's kind of sad lah. I mean, to answer the question, the burning question, should we eat fish, or is the documentary about veganism or pushing the idea of veganism? I think there was some parts of that made me think personally, macam, oh man, I don't think I want to eat fish now because it's so sad seeing that kan. But again, obviously I'm also thinking you know what, that's not really the answer.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah. Cannot just stop. Sedap weh. Ikan so sour.
Weh, ikan tiga rasa siakap sedap.
I'm sorry. Ikan bakar. Fish are friends, so but also definitely food.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure ada yang tak tengok lagi kan, and I nak korang tengok, so please tengok. Yeah, spoiler alert again. Spoiler alert. But basically, other parts of the documentary lah where they interviewed NGOs and people behind the scenes yang supposedly fight for the well-being of our ocean life. Basically the guy who created this documentary, he confronted these people these NGOs kan, and they made it seem macam these people tak tolong langsung with this issue, how the fishing industry is memang ruining the whole ocean life and they are the biggest issue. And I think there was one part yang memang, I don't know how, maybe because how it was framed ke or how it was recorded, but basically there was one part yang the person yang in charge or the NGO person really didn't have an answer to
just stop
his questions.
Macam
Nampak bersalah gila.
I mean, there is a possibility maybe she don't do her job. But there is a possibility that maybe she already did what she could do. But you know, somebody yang higher up. Like, you know, it's not really her place to answer that part, you know. Yeah, doesn't mean she tak tahu the answer. Doesn't mean she, you know, at fault for that. Maybe it's just, you know, beyond her power. You know, just maybe she's innocent. Like when talking about the facts, I didn't, when they go like questions all the NGOs and all, I think that one I would say like if anybody yang have watched or planning to watch, I would say take it like 50-50. You kind of have to do like your own research as well, because at the end of the day, when anything macam media, it's like you mentioned that it's not sure cara edit ke cara apa, but you know somehow the way they frame it, you akan terus oh that person jahat. Macam when you actually read it more, and I'm like oh actually no, and that NGO did something good semua, you know. And one thing, the reason why I cakap juga sebab I read some articles, sebab that guy kind of mentioned how like I think he said like more over like 46% of all like plastic waste kat ocean semua just like fishing nets, which is like I don't think he's completely wrong. It makes sense. Maybe fishing net yang besar tu tersangkut and people never clean it up, and then you know from how many years people been fishing, benda tu like banyak like cause plastic don't really like you know takes time untuk betul-betul like hancur. Yeah, so but to say that 46% is just from plastic fishing nets alone, I think that's kind of misleading. Sebab bila I baca balik, actually the 46% tu is a right number, but actually from an article that mentioned in the Great Pacific punya garbage patch, 46% is plastic fishing nets. But if you know like ocean, like laut and all, it's not just the Pacific Ocean, right? We have South China Sea, we have Atlantic, so there's more to it. So yes, betul, there are a lot of fishing nets. Yeah, there are a lot of fishing nets.
That area je lah kan.
And then some turtle and all like stuck in it. Betul, like that's not 100% wrong. But also you cannot say like of all yang plastic waste, that's like 50% of it. Macam tak logik lah. Like you're like thinking about like this whole NGO government authorities, semua kan jangan kecam, just mention it. I can help to also bring up lah about this article I saw. Sebab while we talking, because that guy mostly focused dekat what like Japan, like Thailand, but he didn't go to like Malaysia. But I think what I've read so far, somehow in Malaysia, I think what I've read, if I remember, I put the article here so you guys can read more. So it actually mentioned about how in Sabah, somehow instead of like fishing properly, they still do like fish bombing. So fish bombing is the way like they macam meletup everything, so there's semua ikan mampus. So like you know, it's like if you think about in a very inhuman, nak cepat tangkap, yeah I guess cause semua mati tu ambil semua, right? But of course it's not the ethical way, sebab makan all other species yang people tak consume akan mati, and then all the coral reef pun akan like you know affected by it lah. Yeah, and we couldn't help thinking, but actually like you know it happens in our own land juga. You know, it's not just in other countries. In Malaysia pun sebenarnya tak sustainable sangat when it comes to fishing. So I just kind of wonder lah, like okay, this is for you lah, so personal a bit lah. I think like for you, like is there like anything yang you do personally, like yang at least you try lah to like be as sustainable as possible so far, Senator?
You really put me on the spot here. I'm gonna look like a very bad person if I say I use plastic straws still. No, I'm just kidding. Well, guys, please don't cancel me. Basically, I think what I, at least like macam baby steps lah, what I try to do is obviously when I go out macam groceries ke anything like that, memang dah tak beli plastik lah. Kan kita kena charge 20 cent kan sekarang, pandai government. But then it's like even so to some people macam what is 20 cents, so dia orang macam bantai je kan bayar. But then I mean I started bringing my own shopping bags, like reusable ones, and then and I try to not use macam like single use plastic lah kind of thing.
Good. Like actually okay, I'm kind of like be honest, sometimes I still take plastic bags. Now that I'm paying my bills, I guess I'm more aware of that. Like make sure bila each time I'm not in my room, tutup everything, switch off the electric usage. I really try to do that, but I think it's such a simple thing to do. And same with water. I think I'm gonna be honest, for most of my life, I think I'm that type yang bila wash my face or brush my teeth, air tu memang minum limpah lah. Like, tak tutup kan. Like,
oh yeah, dia memang macam
unlimited. Like,
macam rezeki turun gitu.
Like water unlimited and tak ada hal. Like now, I think like,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, like I'm brushing my teeth. Bukan dah air tu nanti once you nak rinse baru nak air. So macam tutup dulu sekejap. So I would say, as an average human, for example, we go back how we start. Is it like possible for you to like 100% stop eating fish? Well, you can, but
I mean, if you can, wow, mad respect.
But if you still eat fish, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. Macam there are still other ways that you could do untuk contribute.
Dengan COVID-19 semua, you cuci tangan a lot kan. So kadang kan, I tak tahu lah, I nampak je lah PL manusia ni kan. Dia macam tengah sabun, tengah scrub tu, air melimpah. Macam tutup lah benda tu. Janganlah waste water. Tolong ya rakan-rakan. Note. Ini madam nak pesan. Tutup air bila scrub tu.
Batu mandi janganlah sampai konsert satu world tour kan. Macam semua orang.
Tak, kalau nak nyanyi tutup lah air tu dulu. Terus nyanyilah. Buatlah konsert tu dulu.
Hope you guys enjoy our discussion and really honest review about the Seaspiracy documentary, which I think we talked about it. Kenapa dia tak panggil conspiracy je? But that's another video. For now, it's Seaspiracy. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you go check it out. Kalau ada Netflix, go check it out on Netflix. It's a very interesting documentary. But of course, as we said, you can buat your own research, because as a viewer, as an adult, you cannot just believe 100% whatever presented to you. Make sure you do your own research, and then from there, take baby steps to live a more sustainable lifestyle.
I agree, and yes, I highly recommend you guys to watch it, and don't forget to like this video if you agree with us or with our thoughts. If you don't, let us know in the comments below as well. Subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.